It's late morning, October 20th, and I got a late start today. I purposely went up to my parents last night so that I could wake up a little bit later than I might if I left from home, and I just couldn't get out of bed. So now it's 8:30, and I'm still about an hour and a half from the trailhead that I had originally planned to visit. So I'm trying to come up with a plan B, and so I figured I'd come up to the Desolation. And the first trailhead that I've come to is the Lions Creek trailhead, and unfortunately I don't have a map with me. I stopped by the ranger station to get a map, and the ranger station was closed, unfortunately. I guess it's late in the season. Anyway, I get here and I'm looking at this map trying to decide, okay, well, from this trailhead, are there going to be any lakes that I can fish? And you can see this entire section is, I guess it's purposely scratched out, or I don't know if it's just worn from people touching it. But this is the second map that I've come across today that is like this. It's just they're just in really, really poor disrepair. So anyway, I've been to the Wrights Lake trailhead, and I've been to the Barrett Jeep Trail, and so I may just head up the Barrett Jeep Trail. It's 9:30, and I've decided to head up to a place called Maud Lake. Don't know anything about it, other than it's 4 miles from the trail. I was able to find an area that had fairly well-maintained map. So it's 4 miles. I'm not quite sure what the terrain's going to be like, but I figure it's going to be a 2-mile hike. I have no idea whether it's got fish or not. Really, today I can catch fish. I cannot catch fish. It doesn't really matter. It's been about 2 months since I've gotten out, and I just need to get out and uh, get some soul therapy, I guess is a way of saying it. When I got here, it was 32 degrees out. Sort of expecting it, hopefully, to get up into the high 50s, but we'll see. There's still plenty of frost on the trail. It's actually quite beautiful. I'm not so much worried about my core body temperature. I've got plenty of warm clothes. I'm wearing a light wool icebreaker shirt, long sleeve. Over that, I've got this Loft Tech jacket, which I tested out at Saddlebag Lake. We'll see how it does today. Based on my experience there, it seemed to do well in sunny weather in the 50s. So it'll be 50s now, or it should be 50s today. So that should be a good jacket for it. When I hike out, if it's dark, I've got a down jacket and a heavier icebreaker wool shirt to go over that. So from a core temperature standpoint, if it gets down into the 30s by the time I leave, I should be okay. I am a little bit worried about my extremities. I've got these Thinsulate gloves on my hands. They should be warm enough, but I've got a thin wool sock and then a thin cotton sock over that. So I wasn't planning on the 30s in terms of the temperatures here. The temperatures were supposed to be in the highs, high 60s. So it doesn't look like that's going to be the case today. If my feet get too cold, then I'll turn around and come back. or maybe start a fire and warm them up, and then come back. We'll see how things go. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. So I wonder if this is Beauty Lake. I was able to get a cell signal earlier, so I've been able to download a map onto my topo program. And if it wasn't already late in the day, I might be persuaded to actually check this lake out, but I'm not seeing any fish activity, and still got 3 miles to my destination, so I'm gonna keep going up the trail. So in a matter of 30 minutes, I've stripped off all my warm weather gear. I've come up over a saddle, and just like that, it's gone up like 15 degrees. So it looks like it's going to be a warm day after all. Thrown on this smaw to just cover my head a little bit. I needed something that was a little bit cooler than the knit cap that I had on. And I'm continuing to head up the trail. So, started to hit granite, and the trail is going to be less apparent. Hopefully there are some trail ducks. I'm not seeing any yet. So I'm just coming up on the wilderness sign, which was supposed to be the 2-mile marker, so I guess I'll call this the halfway point. The trails brought me down to meet with the creek, and in my understanding from what I've seen in the map is that from here I basically follow the creek up to the lake. So I'm almost at the lake. I think I can see right over there where it starts to flatten out, so I'm gonna bet that's the lake. As I made my way up here, I spooked a big hopper, and it was sort of a bluish green color. I've never seen that before, so this could be an really interesting place. This appears to be the outlet creek, and I tell you, this is a pretty good sign but this place might have fish. I mean, it's weedy, it's deep. I don't have my polarized lenses on, but take a second to see if I can spot any fish. Not seeing anything. I don't have much visibility, but this outlet stream's a pretty good sign. It's a good bet that this lake, at some point in its history, was stocked, probably with brook trout, and you know, I mean, it's got an inlet, it's got this outlet. The outlet's weedy, so, and I've seen hoppers, so there are lots of bugs here. You know, hopefully it was stocked at one point in time and there's a self-sustaining population of fish here. It's looking like this is the lake, and if that's the case, should have brought my waders. I didn't bring my waders because it was so cold and I didn't want to risk getting wet. I also didn't want the extra weight unless, you know, in case I needed to hightail it out of here really quickly. But yeah, wasn't expecting a weedy, marshy lake. We'll check out the rest of it. So yeah, this is definitely the lake. The contours that I'm seeing match what I see on the map. It looks like, according to the map, it actually widens out on the far side there around this island. So I'm going to make my way to the far side, eat lunch, try to warm up a little bit. The temps have come down, the wind's gone up, so my hands are getting cold. But yeah, if there's some deep water here, this could be some good fishing. So I've got a ready-made lunch spot here, complete with a stool and a view. Yep, definitely going to be at a disadvantage here not having brought my waders. It's looking like there's actually not much that I can fish, and I don't even know. I'm not sure if I can make it over to there, fish those rocks, and then come over here and fish off of these rocks. Time will tell. I did see a disturbance in the water that may have been a fish rising, or it could have been a bug falling in the water, or a stick falling in the water, but we'll see. So today's lunch, bacon sandwich on, I don't know, I think that's like a gluten-free 7-grain bread. I think I mentioned I went up to my parents last night, and so my mother made me my favorite dish, which is southern fried potatoes, the key ingredient of which is bacon. So you have to fry the potatoes in bacon fat. So I figured I would take advantage of that and make myself a bacon sandwich for today. So we've got confirmed fish sign. As I was sitting here eating my lunch, saw a fish come up and hit something on the surface. So there are fish here. How big they are, we'll see. Or maybe we won't. If we're lucky, we'll see. If I'm lucky, I'll see. A couple cruising fish right there. They look to be about, I don't know, 8 inches. So that's 3 fish that I've seen since I've been sitting here. They were dark, which makes me think that they're probably brook trout. So this is a little bit of a surprise. Typically I fish my own rods, but the last fishing trip I took, or that at least I had planned, apparently I put this rod in my rod tube. So in my rod tube I have one of the rods that I've made, and I also have a rod made by a Japanese fellow named Miyazaki. I don't remember much about the rod maker himself, but this rod was made for Andre Pouillons, and Andre Pouillons was my fly tying instructor, fishing instructor, all around good guy, and it eventually made its way to me. So I guess I'm going to fish that today. So right in here I keep seeing, I see two fish that are cruising. They're taking bugs off the surface, but they're pretty active, so I'm going to throw on a nymph, mainly because I can't see where they are now, and I'm hoping the movement of the nymph will draw them to it. They seem to be fairly active, so I'm going to hope that they'll take subsurface and they're not simply cruising for bugs on top. And I'm also going to hope that they're not really spooky. So we'll see. This could be a mistake, one of those do as I say, not as I do kind of things, because, admittedly I should be putting on a dry fly. But we'll see how this goes. So this is interesting. I threw it out there. It looks like a small female, but look at its belly. It's got something really heavy in there. I threw it out and I could see it was following, but it rejected it, and so I threw it out again, let it drop, and gave it a couple twitches, and it finally took. So this will be interesting fishing here. Man, I can feel it. I can feel whatever it is in its belly. It's heavy. Wow, that was interesting. I'm gonna need to be observant, see if I can try to figure out what the fish had in its gut. Whatever it was, it had a lot of them, and I can only imagine they're big, whatever they are. And that was interesting because I casted it out. The fish really wasn't super interested. I mean, it's obviously taking something. It took the bigger fly. It didn't seem to be interested in the smaller fly at all. So what I think I'm going to do is put on an ant and fish an ant submerged. But yeah, in the old days, in the old days I carried a stomach pump, and I would have been able to, pump the fish's stomach and then know what it's eating and then know what exactly I should be fishing. But that's not the case today. So I'll do a quick switch, put on two larger flies, and see if I can find that second fish. So I fished that one spot for about an hour and a half and only picked up one fish. I was fishing that nymph, and the nymph just wasn't doing it. So I figured I'd put on an emerger pattern, and I was joined by a fellow who had some floating, fortunately. So he gave me some of his floating, and he put on a similar pattern, and he picked up a really nice brookie almost immediately. So I've come down the bank a little bit because I fished that spot much longer than I should have. So I've come up to what I guess is the inlet, and I'm seeing a few fish just sort of hanging around in there. Let's see if I can sneak up. There's one right in there. Looks like a good fish too. Finally, as I was just about to leave, I saw this guy sipping, and he was continuous, straight line, rise, dip, so I cast my little midge out in front of him, and sure enough, it's brownie. So there are browns in here, there are brookies, there's rainbows. Wow. Now there's another fish over there exhibiting the same behavior. Coming up, slow cruising. Let's see if I can get that one as well. He's heading in the opposite direction, may be tough. I missed the hook set on that last fish. I've come around back to where I've started. My pack's here, so I'm going to throw a couple casts in here and then head down the trail. It's about 10 to 4, and it'll be getting dark soon. Well, I'm headed back. It took me 2.5 hours to get up here this morning. It shouldn't take me any more than 2 hours to get back. I mean, I did a lot of stopping, filming, all that sort of stuff. It's definitely an interesting place, you know, and I wasn't on my game. You know, I knew what I should be doing, and I didn't do it until later in the afternoon. I just sort of convinced myself that it didn't matter, and of course it did. Next time I'll know better. I'm definitely going to come back here. I didn't fish nearly, geez, not even like 1/8 of the lake. I got so fixated on fishing nymphs where I saw those rising fish that I didn't really get much time to do much else. So it was definitely one of those do as I say, not as I do outings. I mean, I was, I don't know, just being a little bit of a hard head. It took me a while to put that emerger pattern on. It also took me a while to, you know, just to move. I don't normally spend 1.5 hours essentially in the same spot, but this time I did, mainly because I saw rising fish there. But, you know, I mean, if you see rising fish, you should be fishing emerger patterns or dries and not nymphs. And I knew better. Anyway, I'll definitely be back. I'll be back with my waders. It's just, you know, I mean, that one guy said he saw a brook trout. I caught a brown and a rainbow. Both were decent size. So I've got to imagine that there are bigger fish in there. And that, you know, if I fish this and I'm on my game and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I've got to imagine some big fish will come to hand. I had a great day. This place was beautiful. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I came up here. You know, I mean, it's been tough for me to get out the last couple months. You know, just getting my butt out of the house. So really glad that I was able to come up here. You know, catching fish was, you know, was going to be the icing on the cake, and I didn't get skunked. So thanks for coming along with me.